There's a reason media around high school seems so prevalent. Falling in love for the first time, watching your friends change and grow, experiencing the highs and lows of high school football. Adolescence is cinematic. It's a universal experience that connects us regardless of generation. Every era, from the 60s to the 80s to the aughts, has an iconic depiction of what it feels like to be young in that era. American Graffiti or Freaks and Geeks, 16 Candles, anything by John Hughes, really. But I've begun to notice that there's not really anything along those lines for Gen Z. So why is it that teenage media today doesn't feel as authentic? This essay is titled either How the Uncinematic Nature of Digital Communication Makes It Harder to Connect Generation to Generation, or Why Phones Make Movies Hard. You couldn't make Seinfeld today, and not for the reasons you think. If you spend any time on the Seinfeld subreddit, about once a month somebody comes in and is like, actually guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but if there were cell phones, none of this would be necessary. Cool, great observation, very smart. And as obnoxious as it is, it's mostly true. Sitcoms as a genre are generally based around miscommunications and misexpectations. The ubiquity of cell phones gets in the way of a lot of the conflicts that make sitcoms interesting. So what was the solution that sitcoms came up with to get around it? Mostly by ignoring it. Look at an average episode of How I Met Your Mother, Parks and Recreation, or The Office. Any of the sitcoms that were popular after the ubiquity of cell phones. And you'll notice none of the characters spend significant time on their phones, and almost none of the episodes are about things that happen on their phones. There are exceptions, of course. You know, there's the Himium episode about looking up people you just met online, or there's the Modern Family episode where the entire thing takes place on the screen, sort of like searching. But those are like the exceptions rather than the rule. Generally, episode to episode, sitcoms still deal with running to the auditorium at the last minute, or hiding in a closet, and how are we going to get out of here without them knowing? Or, oh man, we showed up at the same party in the same outfit, even though if we followed each other on Instagram, this wouldn't be a problem. And why do they still do it? Because it makes for better TV. It's more exciting. It's more cinematic. The audience doesn't care that they could call somebody to handle the situation. They don't care that there's a resolution that could be handled by one text message. For sitcoms, dancing around phones is completely understandable. The genre isn't about recreating reality or even emulating it. It's about escaping it. I think a lot of sitcoms are almost analogous for like a Shakespearean farce. You know, nobody believes that Sebastian and Viola are identical, but it's not important for what makes the story interesting or good. It's not about reality. And someday I'll make a video, by the way, about how you guys are so obnoxious online. Actually, all of these sitcom characters in real life would actually be crazy. They're all bad people. Yeah, guess what? Wait till you learn that in real life, people don't all pan towards the camera. It's not supposed to be realistic. Do you want a realistic show about a group of people who can't find time to hang out anymore? No. Shut up. So, if depicting phones accurately isn't really that important for sitcoms, what happens when it comes up against a genre where reality is more important? What high school media gets wrong today? Dating has changed dramatically since the invention of smartphones. 60% of Americans now meet their partners on dating apps. The average American teenager spends 8 hours a day on their phone. Depending on your age, you might be really surprised by how much social media and Snapchat has changed the adolescent courting ritual. Streaks, best friends lists, liking Instagram stories, follows, unfollows, blocks, double texts, being left on red. All of these are plays within the larger game of dating, and traditional media hasn't really found a way to depict that yet. Take Euphoria, for example. It's a show about high schoolers, and it's filled with relationships and breakups and emotional turmoil. But almost all of those interactions happen in person, which probably doesn't ring true for most people in high school. How many of us have been out and about with our friends only to be fighting with our girlfriend or boyfriend under the table, right? And it's because film and television excel in visual and auditory storytelling. Movement, space, and expression, confined boxes on phone screens don't play to those strengths. The medium is about a frown or a shadow in the back, or watching someone walk across the courtyard. It's not good at capturing what it feels like to send somebody a vulnerable message, and then you see those 3 dots appear like they're typing and then it disappears. Or what it feels like to be taken off a close friend's story. But if you've been 15 in the last 10 years, you probably know what that feels like. And that moment probably feels cinematic. It feels important, even if it doesn't come across like it visually. And I think that's why, in media about young people, we're caught in this weird like faux 2000s version of reality, where technology exists in the background and not the forefront. Bullying on screen still looks like somebody being shoved against a locker instead of finding out that your friends all have a group chat with everyone in it but you, or that somebody posted you on their private story and it's getting passed around. And sure, a lot of these teenage shows like Euphoria or Outer Banks or movies like Bottoms aren't trying to be realistic. That's not what they're going for. Nobody at my high school looked like Jacob Elrodi or Sydney Sweeney. But I think the inability for us to capture how we interact with each other is affecting our ability to empathize with each other too. Roger Ebert famously said that movies are the great empathy-making machine. They allow us to see the world through somebody else's eyes, and they can help us bridge generational gaps. When my dad was a teenager, if he wanted to talk to a girl, he had to call her and risk having his mom be on the line. Or maybe her dad picks up and he asks, oh, is Amy there? They're technological challenges that I haven't had to deal with. But I can understand the jokes and empathize with the situation because I've seen it depicted in Growing Pains or in different TV shows. What can I point to express to my parents what it means or what it meant to get the golden heart on Snapchat for the first time? Or what it felt like to lose it? Or to have somebody share their location with you or stop sharing their location with you? And just because it's uncinematic doesn't mean that the way that Gen Z experiences relationships isn't romantic. Waking up to a good morning message for the first time and it makes your heart skip, that's romantic. Having her set you as her home screen is romantic. It's insane to me. I've never seen a depiction of the first time you sit next to somebody and your thighs touch for the first time and she scrolls through every photo on her camera roll. And yeah, it's a lot of photos of her dog and she's scrolling fast during sections where clearly an ex-boyfriend is pictured. But that's romantic too because it's real. That's what happens. That's like such a universal experience that I've never seen depicted. I think it's really hard to capture Gen Z on film. Because we're all engaging with it every minute of every day, culture moves at like a breakneck pace. And movies take a long time to produce. So by the time it shows up on the screen, it usually feels inauthentic. And while Wendy's tries to sell you on how friendly it is and Lockheed Martin tries to sell you on how progressive it is, anything that isn't genuinely authentic comes across as pandering. Maybe it's only a matter of time until Gen Z ages into some more senior production roles. Maybe I'll finally see a depiction of somebody texting their mom, hey, what time was I born at? And her texting back, don't talk to her. But also, maybe it's not possible to capture the digital age in a non-digital format. Maybe the best depictions of modern romance or post-modern romance or whatever it is we're doing right now, maybe they have to be through the primary format through which we engage, short-form video. Creatively, we're still dealing with cave paintings when it comes to short-form video. It's a new art form. I think the way that it operates as collage is fantastic at capturing feeling. But I don't think it's figured out how to express an idea or capture long-form experiences yet. But I'm excited to see what's coming as people begin to engage with it as an actual meaningful form of artistic expression. Maybe you can't express the world in landscape when we all view it through portrait. I don't know. I guess I'm just looking forward to seeing my own experiences on the screen someday. Thank you guys for watching. I'll have credits roll, even though, no, I don't have any Patreon members. So credits roll here. I'm just going to put my name a bunch of times. If you liked it, make sure to like and subscribe so I get enough dopamine to keep doing this.